not be possible without Rose-Mary Rumbley. So everyone, please stand and give my dear friend, Rose-Mary Rumbley, a huge round of applause. Just so the camera's on you. So there you go. There you go for Rose-Mary Rumbley. Very special place, so I will
Get them. Oh, thank you, thank you.
thank you. We love you. I love you more than you will ever know. I'm so grateful for you.
Well, I'm grateful for you. We're all here. We're grateful for you and everybody else that's here. Yay!
All right, everybody, without further ado, my very good friend and yours, Miss Rose-Mary Rumbley.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, I promised I would tell a popsicle. Let's go to popsicle first because it's kind of nice. The other one's funny. This next issue will have, you know you're old when you remember your popsicle. How many remember the popsicle? And I didn't write this, but this has happened to all of us. When you missed the popsicle man, when you didn't get your nickel and you came out and he'd already gone. I missed the popsicle man. Well, my daddy ran after the popsicle. He felt so sorry for him. He said, "Don't worry, I'll catch you." Running, and this lady next door, an old lady like I am now, couldn't see too well. She said, "Who is that big boy running after an ice cream?" And someone said, "Shh, it's Rose-Mary's daddy." Because they all loved him. I thought it's kind of funny, but I left it out. Maybe I should have, since you're not laughing. Who's the big boy? Okay. The mute story. Now, what the pandemic did, it did two things. It made Jeffrey Preston Bezos the richest man in the world. That's Amazon. Delivery, click, delivery, amen, made him the richest man in the world. But it also made another man very wealthy. I think he's worth $6 billion. That's a little less than Bezos, but $6 billion. His name is Eric Yuan, and he lived in China. And he went to college studying computers, had a girlfriend in China, and never got to see her as much as he wanted to. So he was so smart, he created in his computer a way to send himself talking to her, fixed her computer so she could speak back. Well, he graduates, they marry, decide to escape communist China, come to the United States. Yuan, Eric, Y-U-A-N, Eric and his wife, Eric Yuan, they came to America. He began to work for Bill Gates. And while he was there with all those computer whizzes, he realized they were working on something he could already do. He said, "Well, they're working on that, and I did that in China." So he left Bill Gates, created his own company, which he named Zoom Video Communications. I think $6 billion is what he's worth right now. And all that Zooming. How many Zoomed? Zoom. Well, here's my Zoom story. Forgive me now. Anybody a member of First Methodist Church downtown Dallas? Okay, well, don't tell this there. But this is where it happened. One of the Sunday school classes at First Methodist downtown Dallas asked me to teach their Sunday school class Zoom. Okay, sure. I got the camera. My son came over and fixed my computer up so I could Zoom. He didn't tell me about lovely backgrounds you could have. So mine's my refrigerator. It's the ugliest thing in the world, refrigerator. There I'm there with the refrigerator. Anyway, I'm Zooming, and it's a Sunday school class. So you leave everybody open. You don't mute anybody because you have anybody have a prayer request. You've been to Sunday school, you know, prayer requests, praises. Anybody want to report on their grandson? Da da da. You know, it's Sunday school. Don't mute anybody. Let them speak. Well, there was this one man who couldn't hear well. Now, when you don't hear well, it makes you nervous, right? Yeah. What is he saying? Yeah, they don't hear. They're mad. I went through this with my mother. You know, what? Well, he couldn't hear. And all of a sudden we heard, what in the hell are you all talking about? I can't hear a damn thing. And we heard this voice say, please mute Sam. That's my mute story. Zoom. Anybody have Zoom? What else was I to tell? I think that's it. Yeah. Well, I'm going to tell about this lady, my good friend. Well, I've known you for a long time. Wave, sweetheart. I spoke at Glen Eagles Country Club this morning. Yeah, I know it. When am I going to quit? I don't know. Anyway, I spoke on basis opposite John Wanamaker. Now, where are the Presbyterians out there? Please testify at this time. How many testify? John Wanamaker was a great Presbyterian Sunday school teacher. He had a Sunday school class in 1900 of 2,000 people, and he contacted the ones that weren't there on Monday morning. I mean, just a marvelous, marvelous man, John Wanamaker. And his store, Wanamaker's, was in Philadelphia. Not everybody knows what Wanamaker's. Anybody know Wanamaker's in Philadelphia? It is no longer there. It's the building's there, but it's Macy's. And I mentioned the old downtown home church stores are gone. Where's the old Dallas people? Raise your hand. Tyches, Sangers. Yeah, they're gone. And so is Wanamaker's. It's now Macy's. But this charming lady right here, I asked for testimonies, worked at Wanamaker's. Wave, sweetheart. So isn't that neat? And then I was rude enough to ask her, was John Wanamaker alive? I'm sorry about that. I can't believe. Well, I was trying to figure when he died and all, but he did live a long life, but not that long. She's young. But anyway, well, I have lots of students, not lots, but some students here. And I'll start with the front row. Former students, raise your hands. I haven't seen them in so long. Now, Ed, raise your hand. Oh, raise your hand, Ed. I have a story about Ed and my mother. My mother loved First National Bank downtown. See, my mother was born in downtown Dallas, 1894. 1894, she was born downtown. My grandfather came from Germany, opened a bakery, the West End Bakery, and the family lived over the bakery downstairs, family, and mother was born over that bakery. Am I doing all right?
You are doing wonderfully.
Good. We're at the bakery now.
Huh? What are we making?
No, I don't do German biscuits or
Ooh, that
whatever.
sounds good.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't
All right.
cook.
That sounds good.
I've never cooked. I don't know what we ate, but my children grew up. They looked healthy. Yeah, I don't know what we ate, but anyway, this German baker came to Dallas in 1884, and mother was born in 94 over the bakery. He was very successful, German immigrant, and owned this building across the street from the courthouse with the bakery. And the family was upstairs, and mother always said, don't tell anybody I was born over a bakery. That is so common. Later on, she told everybody, I was born over a bakery. I'm a Dallas pioneer. And she was. Yeah, because 1894, she saw it all. Anyway, she loved First National Bank downtown Dallas. And I'd have to haul her downtown, park, put her, so she could bank. And we had a branch 1 block away. Mother, here is a branch. It's the same money. It's the same check. I love downtown. And she did. Well, Ed worked at First National Bank downtown. And of course, when I'd bring Mother, he treated her like a queen, you know. Oh. And I said, Ed, tell my mother that she needs to bank at the branch right around the corner from her house, and I don't have to haul her down here. Ed said, don't you dare let her do that. You come downtown to... And I never forgave him. I had to haul my mother because of Ed loving my mother. So she was quite a character. And then Paula, we did shows together. She was my student, but we did shows, credit union shows. Remember the credit? Anybody work for the credit union? We did all those shows and everything. Show. My father was a CPA. What are you majoring in, Rose-Mary? Showbiz. What are you going to do with that major? Go on the stage. Anyway, I taught speech and theater at Dallas Baptist, and we gave lots of shows and had lots of fun. Paula, so good to see you. Now my Bishop Dunn girl, stand up. That's my student in high school. So I was really young. Did I tell you about have I already told you about the guy with the golf cart? When I was backing out of the country club. And I back out like a 90-year-old woman. I'm sorry. That's the way I drive. Because I'm that age. Anyway, it took me several back up, and this golf cart was waiting. And he kept saying, "Yo, go, you got plenty of room." And I'm still back. This happened right at just between this and this. And when I passed him, I said, "You didn't know you were stuck with a 90-year-old driver, did you?" And he said, "Cheers to the..." Oh, we were instant friends. I forgave him and all that good stuff. Now, where am I? Back to Bishop Dunn. Stand up again, dear. This was odd, because I belonged to First Baptist Church downtown Dallas, and I taught 5 years at Bishop Dunn Catholic High School. You're a good Catholic. And I was a Baptist. Yeah, well, I was a Baptist. Here's the story. My husband was the band director at David W. Carter High School. Anybody connected to Carter High School in any way? Oh yeah, Carter. Yeah, I did student teaching. Carter High School. And he was teaching with the DISD. So there was a law. You can sit down now, dear. Sit down, class. There was a law at that time that husband and wife could not teach in the same district because they didn't want all of the money teachers. Daddy, I have a mean teacher. Now, honey, your teachers are not mean. They're hungry. And I never knew what he meant until I got that first paycheck. Teachers are so underpaid, it's pitiful. And yeah, yay. Oh, I wrote a letter to the news on that. But anyway, they didn't want all the money to go into one family, so husband and wife could not teach. So if I was going to teach, I had to teach in a private school. And this dear friend of mine was going to have a baby, didn't want to teach right away, had to find a substitute at Bishop Dunn. I said, "I'm a Baptist. Doesn't matter. The Catholics will take you in." And they did. Amen. Those girls told me that I was just the greatest inspiration because all we've got is our nuns to look at. Don't any nun. I don't love nuns. And you're different. You're different. So, and we gave a lot of good plays and played volleyball. Volleyball. I made volleyball a production. Yeah. I mean, when you served, you served. So we had such a good time and loved all the nuns. My class was right by the cafeteria of the school. And the boys, see, the Catholics had everybody separate, boys and girls. Oh, they didn't know. So the boys would go and eat, and then they'd walk back to the boy place, and then the girls would go eat. So my girls asked me one time, they said, could you let us out in the hall a little early so we could look at the boys? And I said, okay, that'll be all right. So I let them out. I mean, that head nun, she was there in 1 second. Get these girls back in the room. They cannot look at these boys. And I said, now girls, I'm terribly sorry, but you cannot go out in the hall and look at the boys. But I can. And I will go out and describe for you what I see. We had a lot of fun. I gave the play Harvey. Everybody familiar with Harvey? That's Jimmy Stewart with the rabbit. One of my students, this young man, see, the priest would bring over the boys to be in the plays. So I was the only teacher that taught boys and girls because I gave the plays, and you have to have guys in plays, right? Right. So the priest would bring over the boys and watch them while we rehearsed with the girls. See? So one of the characters in my play was Mike Satterino.
Oh.
And he turned, well, now where do you know him?
I went to school with him, and now
He was principal of the school.
I know, but he was a grade ahead of me, and
Well, you were at Bishop Dunn.
I was at Bishop Lynch, but we
Oh.
went to St. Thomas together,
Yeah,
elementary.
okay. Oh, all right.
So-
Well, Mike Satterino played the part of the cab driver. That's a great part in Harvey. He's the one that takes them up to the psychiatrist. See, they're all nuts. And everybody in the show is crazy. So it is funny. You can't give it anymore now.
No.
I bet you cannot. I never even thought about that. I bet you cannot give Harvey because it makes fun of the insane, but it doesn't make fun. Oh, I'm in trouble. Let me move on. But he played the cab driver, Mike Satterino, and then became principal of Bishop Dunn. But the amazing one was Larry Pichard. Where are the good Catholics? You might know Larry Pichard. Larry Pichard played the Jimmy Stewart. Yeah, the one that saw the rabbit. I've got to go back and tell Mike Satterino real quickly. I asked Mike, I said, would you put on a rabbit suit? See, you never see a rabbit in the show. You just talk about him. But I said, would you put on a rabbit suit and sell tickets to the show in the lunchroom during the lunch period? Sell the tickets to the show. Sure. So I took Mike to a costume shop and got him a rabbit suit. And I said, well, you can put it on right now because when we get back to school, it'll be lunchtime. So we're driving along. I'm driving along with a rabbit.
He was big at that time.
Oh, a huge rabbit, yeah. And we went through a license check. And this policeman asked me, does that thing bite? That's all he was saying. Because I told Mike, I said, we can play this two ways. We can say, we're in a play, or we can just act like this is the way I usually. So he decided to do, this is the way it is. And that's when the police asked, anyway, does it bite? Now I've got to go back to where, Larry Pichard played Elwood, who saw the rabbit. Well, Larry Pichard was a very fine actor. And when he graduated, he went to Notre Dame. And then he came back to Dallas, and today he is Monsignor Larry Pichard. Now, when a Baptist turns out a Monsignor, That is really something. Yeah. So those were my days at Bishop Dunn. Thank you, sweetheart. She brought the annual, if you want to see what I looked like whenever. I had red hair. Now, why did I dye my hair red? Oh, I know why I dyed my hair red. Of course I know. I was at North Texas. Any Mean Green? Where's the Mean Green? Testified this time. Yay, North Texas. I was in the drama department at North Texas, and we gave the Taming of the Shrew. The drama teacher said, I'm giving Taming of the Shrew, and Rose-Mary, I want you to be the shrew. But you've got to dye your hair red for the part. She's a redhead, because she's mean and, where are all the red? Mean and cruel and, the shrew. She's a shrew. So you got to have the red hair. So I dyed it, and I liked it so much, I just left it that way for 40 years. Well, it wasn't 40 years. Let's see. When I was 50 years old, and I used this advice with my neighbor just last week. When I was 50 years old, I sat down and thought, you're 50 years old. What do you hate doing? Why don't you quit it at age 50? And I thought, I hate dyeing my hair. It's just a lot of trouble. It's not worth it. So I thought, well, my father had pretty good gray hair. He had nice gray hair. Mother didn't, but I was hoping my father's genes. Maybe I look like my daddy and I will have good gray hair. So that's when I went gray and left the red hair. But I had red hair at Bishop Dunn. Right, yeah. That was left over from the Shrew, Taming of the Shrew. I also, at North Texas, played Lady Macbeth. See, those are the real mean chicks. Shakespeare loved women. See, he really had beautiful women in his play. Juliet, who else? I'm not teaching Shakespeare anymore, so I don't know. But I know the two meanies. He created these two mean women, the Shrew and Lady Macbeth. They were not in keeping with what else does Romeo and Juliet, and he had some sweet ladies. But Hamlet's mother or whatever. Anyway, the two meanies were the Shrew and Lady Macbeth. And so I played the Shrew, had the red hair. Then Dr. Hamilton, who was head of the drama department, called. I'd already graduated, and asked me if I would come back as a graduate star and play Macbeth, Lady Macbeth, the mean one. And I said, well, I don't have the time. Oh, yes, you do. You've got to do it. So I did Lady Macbeth, but I was already teaching. I may have been teaching. I was at Dallas Baptist, I think. And I crawled up to Denton and rehearsed that show, Lady Macbeth, and I got through it. I remembered all the lines, out, damn spot, and all those lines. Everybody knows those. And I gave the play, did well. And then this lady from Odessa, Texas. Okay, where are you, Odessa? Anybody from Odessa? Nobody's from Odessa? You are going to be surprised when I tell you what's in Odessa. Oil, yes. All. What does your husband do? He's in the all business. Detergent? No, not all. All. This lady in Odessa with the all business taught Shakespeare at the Odessa Junior College. And she was a very special lady. She decided that Odessa should build an exact copy, the city of Odessa, build an exact copy of Shakespeare's Globe Theater. Now, has anyone ever seen it? It's an exact copy of Shakespeare, and it's sitting there in the middle of all these oil wells. Well, this woman, it was strange, to say the least, and she'd dress up as a Shakespearean actress and go to the oil companies, and to get rid of her, they gave money. And with that all money, she ordered the exact plans, of that Shakespearean, the Globe Theater, ordered the plans, and had them build that in Odessa, exact copy of Shakespeare's Globe Theater. It sits there today. In fact, the story of it is in that new 900-page book on Texas history called Big Wonderful Thing. And there's 900 pages of that book. Don't read it when you're in bed, because if you go to sleep, it'll fall on you. But he has a chapter, this Hannigan is his name, Stephen Hannigan, Harrigan, and he's got the story of Marjorie Morris, that was her name, Marjorie Morris, and the Globe Theater. Well, the year that I did Lady Macbeth was the year North Texas always went to the Globe. See, they go once a year and perform, and that was their year. You've got to go to Odessa to perform in Macbeth, Lady Macbeth. I said, I've barely done it up here in Denton. I can't go to Odessa. Yes, you can. We'll fly you in, and you give it and fly back. And I said, you mean I will not rehearse on the stage? Now, that's deadly. I don't care how many times you give a show. If you give it another place, you rehearse it in that place because it's different. It'll always be different. No, it's going to be just the same. You're in Odessa, but you'll think you're in Denton. Well, okay. So we come to that marvelous scene. I don't know how I played it because I have no balance whatsoever. And Lady Macbeth comes down those stairs in the dark. I don't know how I did it. Well, I was young. Came down in the dark, you know. Out, damn spot. No. You're too full. Oh, give me those daggers. You're too full of the milk of human kindness to do the deed. And she grabs the daggers and goes down to stab the king, right? Give me those daggers. Got down. The king wasn't there. I go backstage. Where is the king? Oh, we forgot to tell you. We had to put him on the other side. Ching, 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 fine. So that's my Shakespearean experience. Let's see, did I ever do any others? No, I don't think I ever got near Shakespeare again. So let's see. I've introduced Mrs. North, Larry North's mother. Wave again. Let's see who else is in the audience that is, well, all of you are just great, prominent loves of mine. Now I'm stuck. Someone give me his topic real quick. And
How about it, Laura Land?
Oh! My favorite. This is the most sacrilegious story of all. This is terrible. And I usually tell this at Easter time. All right. I grew up at a time when children took what was called expression lessons. Anybody take elocution and expression lessons? Yeah, there's my good buddy. Thank you for your note. I appreciate it. Big celebration fan. Elocution. You learn to enunciate and project. How now, brown cow? Well, that's the way speech was taught. And it went out. That's no longer, you know, they haul somebody off if they taught that way. But anyway, enunciate. Well, there was an elocution teacher in Dallas by the name of Pearl Wallace Chappell. Anybody remember Mrs. Chappell? You Methodist. Her son was Wally Chappell, pastor of First Methodist Church downtown Dallas, the Chappells. Pearl Wallace Chappell. Well, she was an elocutionist and very godly. That's what Dr. Criswell always called me. Oh, you're a godly woman. Everybody said, does he know you imitate him? I said, no, but he knows that he doesn't know I'm not as godly as he thinks I am. A godly God. Well, she was a godly woman. So she had this elocution class, See, they met as a class and she gave plays, right? Well, Easter time came and she decided she would put on stage her students in a play, a pageant that she wrote the last week of the life of Jesus Christ. There it was, written, to be given on the stage by her students, godly students. Well, she did it. Now she's got to find a place to give it. See, she wrote it. They all knew their parts, everything. Where are we going to give this play? I'll find a place. Well, she went to Mr. Earl Widener, who owned and operated Laurel Land Cemetery. And she convinced him that that cemetery looked like Jerusalem. We're all going to go straight to the devil. And he believed her. Oh, he was so excited. Oh, yes, yes. And he built for her a set. I mean, the whole pageant. How many have seen the pageant in Germany? That's a beautiful Eureka Springs, Glen Rose. They're beautiful. They're gorgeous presentations. And that's what this was. Oh, he built at Golgotha, the upper room, the entrance to Jerusalem, the garden. It was all there in that cemetery. Well, Mrs. Chapel gave that Easter pageant for years and years. Thousands of people came. Everybody came. We're going to the Easter pageant. Oh, good, the Easter pageant, Easter pageant. Easter pageant. Well, I think it was in 1960. Do you remember the date? It was 60. Let's see, I was at Dallas Baptist. It'd be right at 1965, 66, right in there. Mrs. Chapel went to Mr. Widener, who was still alive. She was still giving the pageant. She said, I'm physically unable to run around in this cemetery and direct this pageant. I just physically cannot do it. It's over. Mr. Widener was heartbroken. Oh, my pageant, my pageant. However, he was on the board of directors of Dallas Baptist, now University, where I taught theater, right? He went to Charles Pitts, president of Dallas Baptist, and said, I will give this college $250,000, this is 1965, right now, if you promise me that pageant goes on. Charles Pitts said, write the check. We have this woman on our staff who adores pageants. Well, they called me in. You now have the Easter pageant. Okay. Oh, so I went to Mrs. Chapel. How do you give this pageant? She said, well, first and foremost, do not change those people out of those parts. Some of them have been in those parts for 30 years. They know how to give the play. Just let it just happen. You need to be there to just go along with it. They'll know it. All these people will know. Of course, I had to fill in with the mob scene. See, you have a mob scene in Jerusalem at the gate. You all know the story. Of course, it's a beautiful story of Christ last week on this earth, the entry into Jerusalem. You have to have a mob scene. Well, that was easy for me because I taught school. Okay, class. Want to pass this course? Oh, yeah. You're in the Easter pageant. Extra credit, bring your parents in robes. Your mother, they were in the pageant, your mothers. Because the kids went, oh, I'm going to fail if I don't have you. You will fail this course without your mother in a robe. So anyway, I got the mob scene and the pageant, it went off. It was beautiful, just marvelous. Mr. Widener was pleased, and I gave it 9 years. 9 years. I did that pageant. Easter morning, and then what happened? What happened? I've forgotten how it ended. Oh, well, wait, we haven't even gotten to the funny part. Mr. Widener sold out to Wrestland. And they met me and canceled the pageant. They said, you directed? Yes. Well, forget it. You're not. No, I always said I went to the meeting without a folder. You know, when you go to a business meeting, you have folders. And I just went, and they said, where's your folder? I said, what folder? Well, the play. I said, I don't have it in a folder. Where is it? In my head. Oh, we can't work that way, so wrestling canceled. But in the meantime, some funny things happened. Because funny things happen backstage. Audience never knew it. My mother would say, you make more fun of that pageant, and it's so spiritual. I said, it's spiritual to see, but it's horrible to give at times. Okay, let's start with the upper room. Okay. Miss Rumbley, Gary's not here. Gary was a disciple. Oh, we had to meet at 3 a.m. Yeah, because see, when we finished, the sun rose and Christ rose. Oh, it was fabulous. Yeah, Christ rises and yeah. Gary's not here. He was an apostle. You go up, join them in the upper room. You're now up an apostle. Go up there. Well, I came around to see my own show, and I looked up in the upper room, and I thought, there's Gary. He's here. 1, 2, 3, 4. 13 apostles, but I don't think anyone ever knew. I know the climax to this. What are some of the other fun? The disciples. Well, that was the disciples in the upper room. What else went wrong? That's the funniest. That's my climax. I'll say that. Christ rises. And Mr. Widener had a hydraulic lift. That Christ went up in the heavens. Oh, yeah. Well, the first Christ I had was a darling guy. He couldn't see without his glasses, so he took his glasses off, and he'd get on that hydraulic lift and just go up into the heavens. Oh my! Wonderful. Well, he graduates, so I have to get another Christ, and I did. And he said, "Now what do I do?" I said, "You stand there, and then you go up in the heaven." That's all you stand on? What do you hold on to? Nothing. You just lean into. I said, David did it. David couldn't see where he was. I can see. What else were the other scenes? I know the worst one. I end with that, but it seemed like there was another. I'll end it. It's time to end. We had a tape recorder. Remember tape? We were talking about tape. We had a tape recorder. And the most dramatic point of that play, this is the most dramatic. This is when you just shudder. When Peter denies Christ for the third time, a rooster crows. Tape, right? We're at that point. Do you know this man? No. Do you know this man? No, I know him not. The tape's broken. I think, didn't you break up? Somebody broke up. It might have been Ray Campbell, but somebody started laughing. My mother said it was spiritual. Anybody else want that? The Easter pageant at Laurel Land Cemetery. The next time you drive to Waco, you can look over at Laurel Land and think of the Easter pageant. Yeah. So, anybody else have a story? Anything you want to hear? Yes. What now? The retirement. Well, the birthday party. I thought it was a retirement. No, it was a surprise birthday party. Is that what you're talking about? The surprise birthday party. Jack, my husband, played with the Fort Worth Symphony, and across the street from Bass Hall was a wine bar, the Grape Escape. That was the name of it. And his birthday was he was playing on his birthday, and I was going to do the surprise party. And we treated him like Lucy. Remember when they were going to give her a surprise party and didn't talk to her, and she thought they'd forgotten, and she joined the friends of the friendless. Remember that? Well, we did the same thing to Jack. He was playing the opera, and I told the other drummer of the opera, I said, now Jack Rumbley knows nothing about this party. When you finish the opera, you cross the street to the Grape Escape, and we have this big surprise birthday party, and he does not know it. Be sure and bring him. And so everything was ready at the Grape Escape. The opera's over, and that they were all so thrilled, that orchestra, to go over and have free wine, they forgot Jack, and he went home. He was like, well, where's Jack? Didn't you tell him to come? No, I thought you told him. No. Yeah. So is that the story you want me to tell? Yeah, I always told it because that Grape Escape was there. Van Cliburn was a great part of the Fort Worth Symphony, and Jack played his funeral and also the funeral of his mother at Broadway Baptist. They were big supporters of the Fort Worth Symphony. Fort Worth Symphony is doing pretty well. Symphonies, operas, theater suffered from this pandemic. I can tell you the date. It's the 13th of March, 2020. That was the last speech I gave, and it was over. But that's all right. I went home and talked to myself. Yeah.
A short story. You wanted a reunion when you were growing up? Was it when you were growing up?
Oh no, my daughter. I didn't. Yeah.
Jill wanted.
Yeah. See, I'm an only child, and I married an only child. And when you do that, you don't have any family.
No.
Yeah. Where are our cousins? You don't have any. You have aunts? No. Can we have a family reunion?
This is the best.
We had one last week. Your grandmother came over for lunch. Seriously, we had, we just never. And Jill's married a middle boy of 5 boys, so she's really got the family reunions. I mean, they have a reunion for any reason whatsoever. And they're all graduating or getting done at marriage. Oh, it's just something all the time. Big families, but I don't know anything about that. I just didn't know. My mother had one brother, and he died of the flu epidemic 100 years ago. Those people, they lost more than we have lost. I'm not putting down the COVID. I'm just saying they suffered because my mother's brother died, and they opened a cemetery here in Dallas because they ran out of cemeteries. And that cemetery is Grove Hill Cemetery on Samuel Boulevard. It was opened 100 years ago because they ran out of cemeteries. It was dreadful. That was a horrible, horrible scene for them. They also had social issues. We have social issues. They had racial issues in that, for some reason, after World War I, the Ku Klux Klan rose up again, and it rose up in Dallas, and it was squelched, outlawed, condemned by George W. Truett, pastor of First Baptist Church downtown Dallas. Now, Dr. Truett was asked to come to Dallas in 1897. I don't know all this stuff. I wrote the book. This church was 150 years in 2018. and I wrote the story, and Dr. Truett was real good at getting money from stingy Baptists. I mean, he could do it. Go get that money from so-and-so. He's loaded, not giving a dime. Truett got it. And so in 1897, Dr. Truett had saved Baylor University. It was going to go under, no chance whatsoever. He got those Baptists in Waco to give that money, save that university. He's at First Baptist Church, Waco, and First Dallas calls him in 1897. And Dr. Truett comes in 1897 and is pastor till 1944 when he died. And he got money from stingy Baptist. He built the hospital. He wanted that hospital. I want that hospital. I want that hospital. Well, he found Colonel C.C. Slaughter with a lot of money. And C.C. Slaughter, Dr. Truett got that money from him. But see, they couldn't name it Slaughter Hospital. So they named it after the very first Baptist missionary in Texas, which was Reverend Baylor, R.E.B. Baylor. And Dr. Truett closed down the Klan, built that church, built the hospital, beloved of everyone. And he was there till 1944 when W.A.R. Criswell was called, who always called me a godly woman. You are a godly woman. Dr. Criswell's wife, I thought about her for a reason, and I'm telling the story. Every year I did the Christmas program for Mrs. Criswell's Sunday school class. She had this huge Sunday school class, and she'd have a Christmas party, and she'd have me entertain every year. She'd say, put us on for next year. Put us on for next year. It just went on for years. Put us on for next year. Well, she dies. And this woman calls in November before the party. And I could tell she was nervous. And she said, now, about the Christmas party. And I said, my dear, the class never asked me to be the program. Mrs. Criswell did. The class didn't do it. She did it. She's dead. You're not obligated to me in any way. And she said, oh, I hope the caterer feels the same way. See, they got rid of me and the caterer. Somebody said, get somebody else besides Rose-Mary and get a better food. And I've never been back. But nevertheless, I've thought about that because that put us on for next year. That club, I just left a club that said put us on for next year, and I thought, my word, how old will I be? Well, you know what the secret is? Here's the secret of life. I've never told. Here, I'll sing the song. Remind me to sing a song for the ending. I just thought about it. Here's the real secret of life. One day at a time. One day. If you live past today, you're foolish. See, I'm just living for those injections tomorrow to get rid of this pain. Well, I may never live that long. Who knows? They may run out of injections. I don't know. Nobody knows. It's one day at a time. There's a musical on Broadway it was during the Vietnam times, anti-war, Vietnam. And the musical was titled Pippin. Very, very well accepted musical. And it's a story of Pippin. Who was Pippin? Well, he was the son of King Charlemagne. Now that's the 700s, where Charlemagne Christianized Europe. He Christianized Europe by killing everybody that wasn't a Christian. That made Europe Christian. Are we all Christian? Yeah, good. Have we killed everybody else? Yeah, good. That was Charlemagne. It was terrible. So he had this son, Pippin. And Pippin lived in the 700s, but see, it was during the Vietnam War, and all you beat boomers, and you had to find yourself. Boomers had to find themselves, see, and that's what Pippin had to do. Took place in the 700s, but he had to find himself. See, my son, Jill found herself all right, but Phil, my son, he was always finding himself. Got to find myself. My husband said, hunt fast, we are broke. You do not know where I'm coming from. And my husband said, wherever it is, I paid for it, I know that. So find yourself, find yourself. Well, that was Pippin. That's the plot of this show. And he goes to his father. Dad, teach me the meaning of life. Oh, no problem. War, killing people. See, anti-Vietnam, it was very obvious. Killing people. That's the meaning of life. No, I don't want that. So he gets a girlfriend. She dumps him. Then he majors in art and discovers you have to be dead to be appreciated as an artist. That's not good. And here's the secret. He goes to his grandmother. Now that granny, I saw her on Broadway do this show. It was Irene Ryan, the hillbilly granny of the hillbilly. She was the lead, the star of this show, this grandmother. And she did a great job. It was wonderful. I saw her, and she continued. But one of the saddest things, see, she did that show. This is a great showbiz story. She did that show one evening, got in a cab to go to her apartment, and died in that cab. Can you imagine? After a marvelous performance. Well, what a way to go. Yeah, it's just one of those, that's the way it was. But anyway, I saw her do the part. Granny. And Pippin goes to her and says, Granny, you are the only person that's happy in this whole show. Everybody's miserable. You're the only happy one. Why? And she says, when you are as old as I, my dear, and I hope someday you are, you will woefully wonder why, my dear, through your cataracts and your catarrh, you could squander away and sequester the drop of a precious year. But when your best days are yester, the rest are twice as dear. What good is a field on a fine summer night if you sit all alone in the weeds, or a succulent pear with each juicy bite you spit out your teeth with the seeds? Stop trying to wait for fortune and fate you're secure of, for there's one thing you can be sure of, mate, and that is on this earth, there's nothing you can be sure of. Now, I never wondered if I was afraid when there was a challenge to take, and I never worried about how much I weighed when there was still one more piece of cake. Maybe it's meant the hours I've spent feeling broken and bent and undone, but there's no cure so heaven sent as to go out and have some fun. Sage is sweet, good age is sweet, and good deeds and good works are new laurels, but what could make you feel more obsolete than to be noted for your morals? Here's the secret I've never told. Maybe you'll understand why. But I believe if I refuse to grow old, I'll stay young until I die. I've known fears for 89 years, and I've had troubles and tears by the score. Only thing I'd trade them for is 89 more. Oh, it's time to start living. Time to take a little from the world we're given. Time to take time, for spring will turn to fall in just no time at all. Thank you. Anybody have any questions or thoughts or anything? Questions, thoughts? Any former students that just decided? Oh, I'm almost, we've got 3 minutes for questions. Yes. Now what? I heard everything but the question.
Is there anything you regret?
Oh, well, everybody has regrets, but I've really been blessed. Yeah, I really have. I have been blessed. Now do you want me to tell you, got troubles. Trouble right here in River City.
That's trouble with a capital T, is that right?
Rhymes with T. We all have this question. Why, Lord? Why? If we went around the room, every one of you would have a story.
Mhm.
Why? Why did this happen? In 1964, my husband was in a terrible traffic accident, and it really messed up his knees, and it was terrible, but the doctors worked hard and glued him together, and he lived a normal life. See, he was blessed for that. And then they always say that children who need help go to the right parents. And Jill has a brother named Phil. He's in Tyler, Texas. He teaches school. He has a little drum band. He bought a bunch of pails, P-A-I-L, like they have down in the subways, buckets, and they play drums.
Yep.
He's got a pail brigade of drums, and they march down Tyler a lot, playing buckets. Yeah, and the drummers love it. That gives them so he's a good teacher. He loves it. And he has one child, and his name is Scotty, and Scotty is autistic and mentally retarded, but he came to the right family.
That's right.
See, that's where you're blessed. You don't have regrets. We all have problems, but you handle them. So we love Scotty. Scotty's 33 years old and does very little, but what little he does, he brings a lot of joy to those around him.
Well, Rose-Mary, I have to tell you, I was listening in the other room on the computer on the Zoom. My goodness, everybody was rolling. It sounded like you had your own personal laugh track in there. It was great. It was really great. I know Deborah shared her memories, but I'm going to share a memory about Rose-Mary. Long time ago, when I first started with the magazine, we planned the Rose-Mary Rumbley cruise. Do you remember that one? And I did an event with Rose-Mary, and we were helping to promote the cruise. And let me tell you, I had really never interacted with her before. Didn't know who you were, Rose-Mary. I mean,
No,
I'll be
that's all
honest.
right.
And you see it living proof every time you run into you, how incredibly warm and welcoming you are to everyone around you. Because she, dealt with my young little self all day long without a problem. And I was included in all the conversations, and I got some amazing history, like you always tell people. So that is my first true memory of you and getting to know you. And that meant a lot to me at the time. So, Rose-Mary, thank you for joining us.
Oh, glad to be here.
Thank you for being our cover girl. We love having you around. And everybody, have a fantastic day out in Zoom and here in the audience.
Bye, dear.
Thanks for joining